So what people do in night season is that they become tempted.
Oh my gosh, look what I found. Hey, this is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. And I was playing around with several programs to control my SDRs. And I remember seeing some questions and answers on SDR-Console's users group. And one of them was related to running multiple radios in this program. And so I thought I would see if I could figure out what that was all about. And what I've done here, let me go back to, let's see, let's close this, let's minimize this. Whoops, okay, that's not what I want to do. Okay, I got to figure out which one I want. That one? Yeah, okay, this is the normal screen you see, or one of the normal screens you see when you're running SDR console. And my configuration right now is I'm running the FIFI SDR using my MFJ vertical antenna. Now, one thing I've done up here is this matrix button, which says you can display multiple receivers or multiple frequencies on one receiver. And so because I've done that, I now have this green bar and this red bar of the two receivers. And they're marked right here. Okay, let me turn off. I gotta turn off something because it's confusing me. One of the things you can have on the display is, let me see if I can find it, is you can have the peak frequencies marked, or peak amplitude of a given frequency marked. Oh well, I don't see it. But you can see there's multiple blocks here. There's a 1 here, and a 2 here, and a 2 here, and a 1 here. One of them and a 3 over here. One of them's indicating that this is the number 1 as far as the magnitude of the frequency. The other number is the number of the receiver. And as I recall, I had set this one up first as receiver 1. So that's where this 1 here is. And then this 2 here is receiver 2. So in this display, I can see the two receivers. Now, I don't know what happens when I go way off frequency. That'd be a curious thing I could try. And then if I go back to this other display, if I can get it back. So it opens a second window when you do this. Okay, this is the other display, which I was able to get to by clicking on that matrix button. And I clicked, and initially I had just this one receiver. Actually, there's only one receiver, but this one interface to the one receiver I have. And I added the second one. And I can change the frequency independent of that one. And I don't know if you can hear it. I'll turn it back up again. Okay, there it was. So on this receiver, I got it tuned in to 9.980, and that's one of those religious stations. And on the other one, I've got it tuned to 10 megahertz WWV, and if I had the volume loud enough, you could hear it announce the time on the minute, where typically you're hearing the preacher man because he's much stronger. And I don't know what the maximum you can have, but I've got 2, and I'm running my screen capture software at the same time. I'm probably maxing out my computing power of this computer. I'm surprised it's even still running. But it seems to be doing a pretty good job. So that implies that, let me go full screen here and see if I'm missing something. No, it's all right. Okay. And so this program, SDR-Console, version 3, this is version 3. This is something new to version 3. I don't believe it's in version 2. Is this multiple receiver or multiple controls of one receiver option. And you can change the size of these windows. So like if I only wanted to stick with 2, I could make these much bigger and then get rid of these blank screens. It's something I haven't learned to do yet, but that's one thing you can do. Let's see, here's a button on muting, mute other or mute all. That's interesting. But like I said, this is a separate screen it opens. So if I close this down, I minimize it, there's the original screen. And if I turn the volume back up, I will hear those 2 stations that I've tuned in together. We turn it back up and see if... You can barely hear the ticks on WWV. Oh my gosh, this is just unbelievable, and I can't imagine all the things you can do with this and what you get this set up, which it's easy to do. You just go back to the Home tab, and no, I take that back, the View tab, and where to go? Was it under the View tab or Tools? I thought it was under the... Yeah, I thought it was under the View tab. No, there it is. Under the Receive tab, there is this icon right here called Matrix. And that brings up that other screen. Initially, when you first do it, it will show the one receiver or one frequency on the one radio you have if you only have one radio. You can configure it for multiple radios, different radios. Unbelievable. I'm going to play with this some more and try to learn all the features of it. But this, I knew this was one of the things he's added to the newer version that he's working on, and I just never tried it because I thought it meant you actually physically had to have 2 SDRs. No. You can have one SDR and have it tune different frequencies. Now let me go try to see what happens when I tune, or if I can tune off of this band that I've got up, which is about 9.970 to about 10.03. Okay, so let's go to the other screen. Let's do it this way. Alt tab. Okay, there's the other screen. And now I can go to this thing and see how far I can tune it. Whoops, it's selected this one. I have to click on this one. Okay, let's select this and see if I can get out of this band. There's some options that's missing. Over here. Okay, let's try changing this down to like 72 something down where the amateur radio band is. Now, what it's done is now it's blank, probably because this receiver has a very narrow bandwidth. So because this receiver has a narrow bandwidth, you can't tune away from whatever your primary frequency is very far. So that's what I was afraid of. But in other words, if I had my other dongle that will capture, I'll use that term, capture 2 megahertz bandwidth input, then I could probably tune off up to 2 megahertz from what this primary frequency is on and receive something. Or if I had 2 different dongles hooked to this one computer, maybe I could get it configured and then they could tune individually within this program, within this one program. Pretty awesome, pretty awesome. Let me tune back up and you will see that it starts picking up something. It should right now. It's not. I don't understand. Oh, maybe I have to select it. Maybe I'm too high. Still too high. Let's go down slowly. Like I say, I'm at over here. I'm basically at 10 megahertz. We'll call it. So that means with this receiver, I can only tune to 10 megahertz plus or minus 192 kilohertz. That's all I can tune. That's all it will gather in. I'll have to go way down here. Let's go down this way a little faster. There we go. Now it's coming back in. So it doesn't tune individually. That's the right word to use. In other words, it doesn't take the radio and say, okay, I'm going to tune you to a totally different frequency. It appears to be, in the case of one radio, I only got one radio here, SDR, it appears that will only tune within the bandwidth of that radio. That makes sense. If I had, like I say, if I had 2 different radios, then I could tune them independently. So that's it. Pretty awesome. There's so much in this program, it's just unbelievable. If you enjoyed the show, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.